Before this episode starts, this is not me justifying what she did or anything like that. Okay, this is just me providing feedback upon the series. So if you're looking for some personal opinion about whether she's guilty or not, you're not gonna find it here. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and please, if you have any opinion or any feedback on what I talked about today, whether you're agreeing or not, please leave a comment below. Let's get started. Lesson number one. Lesson number one. Anna had extreme ambition and drive. If you watch the movie, you would definitely understand that her upbringing had a lot to do with her ability and will to move forward and accomplish the impossible, right? So the thing is, when you come from the bottom, the absolute bottom, she was from Russia. She went over to Germany to live with her father. Things just wasn't the way she wanted it, right? She had high level ambition even when she was young. And oftentimes, with people who are highly successful, you'll start seeing that as a common factor in their upbringing, right? They have some sort of high levels of ambition, whether it's, fashion, whether it's business, whether it's singing, is usually there really early in life, right? So the thing is, what Anna teaches us is that you gotta have the ambition and drive to go out and get it, right? I have this saying that I share with people often. You don't ask to sit at the high rollers table, you just sit. Now, the reason why I say that is because too often I see people, they tend to try to like plead their way in, right? They try to ask their way in. They try to, and I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that. I'm sure there are plenty of cases where that is necessary, right? But the thing is, those of us who go out there and they make it happen, they don't ask to sit at the big boy table or the big girls table. They just sit down. And in the movie, that mindset helped her tremendously when it come down to getting people on her team to, networking, making things happen for her vision. They assumed that she already was rich. They assumed that she was somebody that they needed to know. Why? Because of her mindset, her willfulness, her boldness. Even though she was young, which is a very common problem that even I went through when I was starting out in business. When you're young, the hard part is being taken serious, right? That is always the hardest part. You have to come in there, you have to show your business plan, you have to, dress the part and whatnot. But the thing is, the one thing I had, and a lot of people who I've read about, talked to about business, is ambition and drive. And people sense it, they can feel it, they know it when you have it, right? And a lot of times they'll come help you or want to be a part of whatever you're doing, right? Because people respect somebody who has high level of ambition, high levels of drive, right? So don't ask to sit at high rollers table, right? If you have a goal, you have a vision for something, you just go do it. You find people who are going to help you in your journey. You talk to them. You try your best to get on your team, and you go do it. Stop pleading. Stop asking. All right. You don't need permission to make visions happen. They happen when you want them to happen. When you go out there and you do the work, you meet the right people, and you just keep making it happen day in and day out, right? And that's something I liked about the movie. The movie highlights Anna's willfulness and boldness to use her skills and talents and looks and whatever necessary to get the job done, to make the vision happen. So that's the first lesson that I extremely appreciated the movie for exposing and highlighting and making people very aware that this girl had ridiculous ambition. At 25, 24 years old, she was in the room with multimillionaires, top notch, high class people in New York. That's admiring. Lesson number two, when people recognize your skills and talents, they want you to do everything for them and not really for yourself. So, one of the things that happened in the movie was Anna's boyfriend in the beginning of her, towards the beginning of her journey. He was some big shot, um, visionary tech guru that really wasn't any of it per se. I don't know the verification of his project, but it was just whole like dream concept where they took your dreams and harness data from it or something like that. And anyway, he saw talents. He saw Anna's gifts and talents, and wanted her to basically go all out for him because his dream is like this big thing, and like what are you doing? Working on what you're doing? Like come over here. That's the kind of attitude he had, and Anna wasn't flying for it. And long story short, they got into it because he just felt like she should have went all in with him on his vision. But Anna had her own vision. She respected his vision, um, and helped him with his vision, right? Like even to the point where she uh, got this billionaire on a boat, or multimillionaire, I think he's a billionaire though, to invest in his her boyfriend's company, and she used dreams like like, oh well, like what if you could predict what people want to buy from the dreams, and it's a brilliant strategy. And the thing is, you know people are gonna always want to have you work for them, right? People are going to want to use you for their needs. And the lesson that Anna displayed was don't lose focus on your dreams, your vision, your goals, right? Do not compromise your dreams, your vision, your goals. Even if it's somebody you love. And a lot of times the people who do this the most are closest to you. Friends, family, you know, spouses, children even, and it's a harsh reality about accumulating wealth and growing successfully and whatnot that oftentimes the people closest to you, which is the same case in Anna, inventing Anna, her boyfriend at the time is the one who did it to her. And the thing is, you cannot compromise your dream and your vision under any circumstance. If you want to see it manifest, if you want to see it happen, you've got to protect it against all odds. And anybody who is going to make you deviate from the path to manifestation for your dreams and vision, they're not helping you. They're distracting you. You got to get rid of the distractions, right? So don't allow yourself to be just used by others, and then before you know it, you look up 2 years or a year or 5 months or 5 years go by, and you haven't done anything for yourself. You've helped them out. Oftentimes, things happen that don't go your way anyway. You know, there's plenty of stories of business partners starting off, and then one person gets greedy, or one person start doing stupid stuff and ruins the deal. So you know, if you're gonna have somebody with you, make sure they're all in with you. Make sure they see your vision, your goal, and they agreed to that vision. They want to see it just as bad as you do. So be mindful who you're dating. Be mindful who you're marrying. That's a business move too. And at the end of the day, you can't sit there and be so caught up in everybody else's endeavors, and you're not even, finishing your own. You're just sitting there allowing your talents and skills to go somewhere else, and then you're the one staying broke. You're the ones, struggling to get your dreams, and you're miserable later in life because you didn't do what you want to do. You did everything for everybody else, right? Slow it down, make good decisions, be thoughtful, get wise counsel, but be mindful of people who want you to go all in on what they're doing and forego yours, right? Don't allow it. You want to be successful? Do your thing. If people want to join you on the ride, on the journey upwards, cool, awesome. But the ones who want to distract you and move you away from what you see and you know, once you want to happen, remove them. It may hurt. It's gonna suck, and it's gonna hurt. But you gotta do it. Lesson number three: be willing to build your own table. Now, this is a subject that I've repeatedly stated to people and myself, and people have told me, you have to be willing to build your own table. Not everybody's gonna want you at the table, right? And one of the things she does is she notices in Inventing Anna that everybody has a social club, right? But there's no social club that's unique for people like hers specifically, right? And when she's around other people who have money, they have power, connections, um, she could very easily just go into one of their clubs and befriend them and stay in their club, right? But that's not what she does. What she does is she goes to these clubs, social circles, I'll say that, and she learns from them. She takes in information, but she doesn't buy into their vision. She doesn't want to stay at their table, right? Metaphorically. So her vision is to build her own table for people like her. Now, that being said, it gave her more power in her vision, right? Because instead of trying to build it under somebody else's club or social circle, instead of trying to fit in and get yeas or nays, more so nays, at other people's tables, and it was willing to build her own. And the thing with this lesson that I feel like is really important, people want to find the easiest route possible, and they want to fit in at somebody else's table, right? And the problem with that is you kind of go in on their terms, right? They make the rules, they set the culture, it's their table. Now, there's nothing wrong with that if that's the route you want to take, right? But for a vision like Anna, the thing that makes the difference is she needed to have her own table and she knew it, right? And when people started seeing that this was something serious, everybody else were willing to join her table as well. And when you have your own table, you're the star, right? Which is what she wanted. You're the person to talk to. You're the man. You're the woman, right? You're the person that of interest. Everybody's there for you, you know, for the most part, right? So don't be lazy and don't be scared, right? You build the table. Build your own table. If you don't fit in somewhere else, that's fine. Build your own table. Small. If people will keep telling you no, that's fine. Build your own table. The right people will come eventually and help you build your table or want to sit down at the table. Something that I really liked and appreciated in the Inventing Anna movie was her willingness to build her own table. She was not scared. She was not begging people, for her approval, for her validation. It was just like, look, y'all have y'all tables and that's fine, but my table's gonna be here. It's gonna be lit. It's gonna be popping. It's gonna be the hottest thing in New York, and that's admirable. Now, if you're gonna do the whole build your table route, right? Then you need to understand one key important aspect to building your own table, and that's having the right people to sit at your table, right? Or in the series, Inventing Anna, she finds the right people, right? So she gets a woman like Nora Radford, right? Well connected, wealthy, power in a position of power in a certain aspect, right? And she knows people who are in a higher power. Nora Radford paved the way as far as introducing her to the right people, getting her connected, mentoring her, teaching her. Now, in addition to Nora Radford, um, Anna eventually got Alan Reed. Now, Alan Reed was spearheading her fundraising, right? And when things didn't go too well with Fortress, right, because they wanted to validate her assets and do all this stuff and wanted to take more time. Um, not mistaken, uh, she Alan worked with Citibank and got Citibank to even loan her 200K in good faith, right? Now, this is the point that you need to understand is when you have the right people who are effective, who can network, who can make things happen in your favor, you'll get the results that you need, right? And so, oftentimes in society, we try to build our own table, but we bring in people who don't do much, right? They talk a good game. They don't. They're not sold on your vision as much as you are. They're not as ambitious as you are. They don't have any real connections to reach out to and make things happen, right? So then you're sitting here, you're spending all this time trying to work with people that doesn't mean they're bad, but they're not as effective, right? And when you have a vision, especially one that's very unique, and when you have goals as high as something like Anna's, then you need the right people, and it's so important for you to understand that it's okay to build your own table, right? I personally prefer it, but if you're gonna do so, then you have to make sure you build it with the right people sitting at the table. The benefit of going to someone else's table, if you pick the right one, is that they have people who are already in position, right? And it's enticing, and sometimes that's useful. I get that, right? But the whole build your own table route, you're gonna have to make sure you have the right people in place. And it also means removing people who shouldn't be there, right? Sometimes you gotta let people go, even if you like them, even if you love them. You gotta let them go, right? You can't just have people sitting at the table taking up seat, eating off the plates, and they're not effective. They're not really doing anything for you. They're just there to benefit from you, which you start seeing that in the Venti Anna series throughout the episodes, right? People start showing up, you know, and they're only there to take benefit from Anna, right? Anna was trying to validate her vision. Anna was trying to be taken serious, right? So once she got the right people in place, she was able to make things happen. She didn't get as far as she wanted to. If you haven't seen the series, then I apologize. But um, spoiler alert: she doesn't get the 40 million, right? A lot of things happen that led up to her going to jail and whatnot. But the point is, you know, Alan Reed was very close to getting her literally $40 million funding for her vision, and that is the benefit of building your own table with the right people. Not everybody's gonna fit. Not everybody's gonna be effective sitting at the table, and you have to be okay with that, right? Much as you may like somebody, but if they're not effective, there's no point for them sitting at the table. They're just gonna take up a chair. Now, I guess you could theoretically say I'm building a very big table, and yet sure, but at the end of the day, do you really want a bunch of random people sitting there who aren't really doing anything that benefits you? I I don't recommend that route, right? So the series again, Anna was willing to build her own table and was building her own table. Lesson number 4: have a business plan. Make the vision as tangible as possible, right? So here's the thing: in Inventing Anna, the series, Anna not only talked about her vision, right, and talked it up to be like this thing that everybody should want to be a part of, right? But the problem is that only goes so far, right? People need to see something. People need to be able to grasp what you're trying to do, right? You can't just assume people will understand what you're doing, even if they're in the same industry. And this is a common mistake that I've talked to people about, and they think, oh well, because we're in the same industry, you're just gonna get it. That's not true, right? You still have to explain. You still have to, you know, make it make sense, right? Now, somebody in the same industry may be more inclined to understand what you're doing than others. Yeah, sure, right? But don't assume, like you can't just assume it, right? You need to have a business plan. You need to have something solid, something tangible, something people to look at, right? Something they can read, get a better understanding of, right? And so, Inventing Anna, the first time she went to Alan Reed in the series, she, I, I guess she had it, or she didn't have the time, but I think that she had it. She just kind of like choked because she didn't expect him to be hard on her. And so Alan Reed started asking for like a business plan and like like something he can see, something he can basically touch. Like where's the metrics, the numbers. And the thing is, she walked out of there looking like a joke. Like okay, like the dude Alan Reed was just like, hey, I'm not, you're not serious. Like, come back when you get all this stuff. And so she comes back, you know, eventually with the whole shebang, the business plan, the images, the concept, um, some art piece. I think she has like some samples of art and the numbers. And the reason why that's important is because you want people to invest or help you raise money, right? You need a business plan. You need to put thought into your business plan. You need for them to be able to see it, read it, and understand it. Okay? Do not start trying to go into these banks and investments and investment firms and try to just talk your way into, oh well, you're just gonna invest it because I'm telling you. It's like, yeah, but they're going to want a business plan. They're going to see where your company is going, what's the vision, have it on paper. Okay, especially when you're trying to raise money the traditional route, right? Have a business plan, have copies of the business plan, so when people request it, you can give it out and put thought into your business plan, right? Don't be cheap, right? Have visuals. Try to have some type of concept drawing, something to show what it may look like, so people can grasp it. You can't just expect somebody to loan you, $2 million for a project. They can't even see or understand what it is. There's no numbers. There's no business plan. There's no vision. There's no operations strategy. There's no, you know, uh, product definition. Nothing. You just want people to take stuff at face value, and that's not how it works, right? Anna was smart. Anna got her business plan together. Anna got her visuals together. Anna got her numbers right, and came back in there, and Alan Ray had no choice but to take her serious, right? Even though he was so sketchy of her, but at least he could take her serious. Like, okay, now you ready to play with the big boys. Let's see what you got, right? So, those of you who are trying to do this stuff without business plans, there's a reason why these things exist. There's a reason why these things are necessary, right? It helps communicate the vision. It helps communicate what you're trying to do, right? Get your numbers right. If you don't know them, figure them out. Hire somebody to help you with numbers. Do what you gotta do, but at the end of the day, have a business plan, have it well thought out, make it tangible. Lesson number 5: be specific with your vision and know your customers. Okay, so one of the things that Anna did really well was being very specific, right? Her vision was this like art club with like high end um, experience, right? With high end individuals, people who are highly creative, that enjoy art, what it represents, the meaning of it. She had like restaurants in there. It was supposed to be like the de facto, the top, the best sort of like club that you could ever go to, right? She called it the Annie Foundation, right? And here's the thing, okay? You cannot have a vision that's so broad that you try to get everybody in it. It usually never works, right? I'm not sure if there's any cases where it did, but most of the time it doesn't work, right? You need to be specific, okay? You need to be able to say, hey, this is exactly what it is, and this is who it's for, right? And Anna had that. Anna had the vision. She also knew her customers, and they were all gonna be just like her, who had an appreciation for fashion and art. Okay, and this is important because when you're talking with investors, when you're talking with banks, they want to know who your customers are. They want to know what is it, what do you do, what problem does it solve, and the more specific you are, the better. Right? You can't just go in there saying, "Oh yeah, I'm just gonna start a fashion club." Okay, but what does that even mean? Right? Be specific. Oh, I'm gonna start a fashion club where we, you know, network with other designers and create new art pieces. You know, and maybe we change it up or whatever. Right? Try to be descriptive. Try to be specific. Right? Don't just be vague and just assume people are gonna just know what it is. Right? And I made this mistake myself when I was younger. Trying to start my own business was I had a concept of it was a gaming, it was like some type of like gaming club thing, and I honestly didn't have the experience at the time, so I didn't really know how to describe it. Right, I didn't have like a 2 minute elevator pitch, so when I talked to the investors, I didn't really know how to describe it. They just was like, okay, so what is it? Oh, it's a gaming club. Okay, but what does that even mean? Like, what do you do in it? Oh, you play games. I wasn't very descriptive, right? It was so vague that it just sounded like an amateur, right? And that taught me a valuable lesson in which something that I greatly appreciate them highlighting in Inting Anna, right? That she was very specific. She knew that her club wasn't for everybody. It wasn't supposed to. And she was okay with that. And everybody else that was going to be part of it was okay with it too, right? It was specifically for people who love fashion, love art, right? That's her core audience, and her core audience liked what she did because it was about beauty. Everywhere was about beauty. The clothes to the chandeliers, to the windows, to the floor, to the ceiling, the walls. Everywhere was about beauty, art, right? It was a dream world for artists, right? Smart. Okay, you gotta give credit for that, right? She had a vision where people who are highly creative would fit in, right? Because let's be frank, she knew that they were misunderstood customers, right? Because they're highly creative, they have a very affectionate and intimate sort of connection with art, and she wanted a foundation that she fit in, right? Because she didn't fit in everybody else's foundation, she didn't fit in everybody else's social circles, right? Because she was so unique, right? And so the thing is, if when you have a vision, be specific, know your customers, find out as much as you can about your customers. You should go talk to them. I would recommend you even go talk to them. Find somebody who you're targeting and get their opinion. The more you know, the better. Do not assume. Try your best not to assume, right? Do the work. You'll want to meet these people. If you're going to try to get money from them, I highly suggest you meet them. Inventing Anna, the series of her meeting the customers, talking to them, explaining, and you can see the eyes light up like, oh my God, that's amazing, right? And that's important. It validated her that she was on the right track, right? And that this foundation was necessary, right? So be specific, know your customers. Lesson number 6: success has a culture, specifically subcultures. So there's one thing I feel like Anna was really good at understanding the culture of success, right? And in the series, she's constantly adapting to the scenarios that she's in, right? So success, she begins to realize that success, or she utilizes her knowledge of a successful culture immediately, right? That's why she was dressing the way she was dressing, looking the way she was looking. Um, Even like her sort of personification, right? Like she didn't just wear the dress, right? She wore the dress with a very distinctive sort of personality, with a very distinctive look. So she looked like she had money, not just dressed nice, right? When she talk like she has money, right? Like the stuff she says she buys. And I really didn't realize earlier in my journey that it was a culture. Um, but you hear stuff like, money marries money. Um, like rich people's conversations are different, so forth, so forth, right? And it wasn't until I got around the few that I have that I began to realize that yeah, it's a culture, right? Like for them, depending on how wealthy they are, it's nothing for them to talk about buying a new yacht or a new car or a new house or a new commercial building or apartment complex, multiplex, so forth and so forth, right? Kind of that's kind of like everyday language for them, right? It's nothing abnormal. Whereas, you know, people who are not wealthy, there's you know th- their conversation is basically what a poor person's. I don't want to say poor person. It's not really that, but it's just the word is what they buy is different. How they buy it, what they buy, all that stuff is different, right? And so, inventing Anna, the series, showcased that she mimicked the culture, even though she was not technically on paper or as successful as them, but she talked like them. She acted similar to them. And understand that I'm just going off the series. I'm just no way to say that every rich person talk like her. I'm not accusing people like that at all, right? But the point of the lesson is she began to recognize a very specific subculture of success that revolves around the fashion industry, right? And in the fashion industry, what you're wearing, how you wear it, the colors you're picking matters, right? And in the art industry, right, knowing who um, painted a picture, who are famous painters or artists, um, what this piece means to her, how to articulate it, where these galleries are at, where do rich people hang out at, right? So she began to like adapt to the culture of that specific industry, right? Like the nice shoes, purses, hairstyle, yada yada. And in the series, I can't remember uh, who the reporter was talking to, but she mentioned, I think it was one of the banks that she was talking to, and the lady mentioned that when Anna first arrived, like she looked too fashiony, right? Like she she was cute, right? But it was so fashion like, like a model that basically nobody in their industry even took her serious, right? Nobody in these circles took her serious. Now, the circles that were big on fashion, they loved her, right? They loved her outfits, so forth and so forth. But in the business industry, the finance industry, uh, they they acknowledged that it was cute, but it wasn't something that anybody took serious. And so Anna switched up her attire to dress according to their culture, which was more business savvy. It was still like cute outfits and all, but it had a more grown up sort of look with a more modest look, something you would see in a business meeting, in a maybe like a conference, business conference, and so forth. And it dramatically changed the point of view of her, right? And the thing is, you have to learn the culture, right? Now, tech millionaires, billionaires, their culture is different from traditional business individuals, right? So it used to be shirt, tie, suit, slick hair. You know, that was like the outfit you wore that signified that you were a person of business, that you were a person of importance. Well, in the tech industry, there's not really a thing to wear, right? They pretty much wear graphic tees, jeans, flip flops, tennis shoes. Some of them, I know, like the Instagram founder, one of the founders of Instagram, he wore a suit. He liked suits, so that was his thing. But you'll see more common in that industry, um, that people pretty much dress pretty relaxed, right? Polo shirt, jeans. That's their culture, right? So if I come in with a business suit in that specific culture, I would likely stand out a bit, right? Like, who's this guy who's wearing a suit? Like, because it's not something that they in their culture wear as much as other culture. Anna did a from the series did a great job at adapting to different cultures when she needed to. So when she went to a fashion event, she dressed like a fashionista. When she was going to handle her business with the bank, she dressed like she was ready to do business with the bank, right? And learn as many cultures as you can in these industries. Anna understood culture. She understood the importance of knowing the culture of the painters, and the culture of the musicians, the culture of the photographer, the cultures of the lawyer, the cultures of you know the bankers. She understood it, and she did her best to switch in and out when she needed to. Man, that's a skill set I think we all should have, right? Especially as you start moving up and up, you start dealing with more people in higher positions. I feel like you should be able to code switch. You should learn how to code switch. You should learn how to adapt to different environments, adapt to different cultures, right? I wouldn't show up to no uh, finance industry conference, and looking like I just came out Planet Fitness. I just wouldn't. Whoever else does that, hopefully they can explain what they did to pull it off. But I feel like I would show up in a suit and tie, fresh haircut, probably with a suitcase. I don't even carry one, But when I think of a person in finance, and I think about bankers, I think about suit, tie, suitcase, clean cut, probably manicure, pedicure, skin foliation. That's just what I think. So you know, spend time operating in different environments. Don't just be tailored to one environment, right? Spend time in different environments. Learn the lingo. Learn the jargons they use. Learn how they talk, what they find interesting, what they don't find interesting, because it's gonna matter, right? Especially as you grow your business, as you grow your brand. And Anna understood it. She grew her brand without even having a physical location, but the interest of it was pushed by her because she was able to articulate her brand in different cultures. Lesson number 7 is understanding that business and success is about who you know and what you know. In inventing Anna, not only did it come about who she knew, but it was also about what she knew, right? So here's the thing. Oftentimes, you talk to social circles, they'll tend to say, oh, it's all about who you know. Well, I've learned in my journey that it's a little more than that, right? It's not only about who you know, It's also about what you know. Who you know gets you access to wherever you're going. What you know makes you useful. And the thing is, in inventing Anna, right? When people met with her and talked to her, she knew her craft. She knew art. She understood how to talk about art, how to convey the message or the hidden subtext of the art, right? She understood fashion. She understood how to dress, what colors, how to mix them, how to look good, right? So, and when she connected with other people, and they, as they had conversations, they were able to conversate. And the reasons why is because she could talk with them what they knew because they were in the same industry, right? When she talked about her art, or sorry, her fashion, she would talk about a very specific brand and whatever. And whoever she was talking to, if they were aware of the fashion, they would nod like, oh, like she knows what she's talking about, right? So it's not just about what you know, nor is it just about who you know. You need both, right? Both takes you for a long journey, and people like it when you not only know people, but you know something, right? And Anna, she knew her craft. She knew it very well. Okay, some of you need to understand that. You can network all you want to, right? But when people find out you don't really know much, you're not very useful. And vice versa. You can know a whole lot of things, but if you don't know nobody who can help you out and get you where you need to go, you're just sitting there talking with people who can't do anything, and you just know stuff, right? You need both, right? And that helped Anna go a long way into getting her funding. Okay, she not only knew people, but she knew things. She understood. She knew how to articulate. She knew. She knew what they were talking about if they said a certain artist or art piece or whatever. She knew. Okay, so please understand that business and success is not just about who you know. It's also about what you know. Be useful. Don't sit there and just be, you know, playing games all day, not learning anything. Okay, learn something. Learn something enough to be of use. Okay, help people out with your knowledge, and they'll give you access. Okay, that's been my experience. Okay, and if you haven't been through that yet, you will. Right, knowing people is only one part of the problem. You also gotta know something. You also gotta know your craft as much as you can. Okay, so don't dismiss knowing things. Okay, you need both. Lesson number 8: build an effective winning team. Now, this is this topic ties into what I was saying about building your own table, right? Inventing Anna. So what happened was she went to go get funding, and basically nobody took her serious, right? Like she met up with people, and nobody really believed in her foundation, and she was trying to figure out, right? She was frustrated, right? Like why couldn't they see? But things really didn't start moving in her direction until Nora and Alan came on to her foundation, right? And that's the point of building an effective winning team, right? And if you look at big companies, they spend a lot of money for a reason on their executives. They have the right board of directors, at least you know, for the most part. And this is why, if you look at companies that are successful, one of the primary things that they do is build a winning team. Somebody who knows technology, right? Somebody who knows legal, how to build and run a company and so forth, right? Managing finance, right? These are there's a reason why these positions are very important. Okay, and unfortunately, in the startup phases, a lot of times, myself included, we don't build an effective winning team. We build a team. And here's the analogy that I want to use, right? It's the difference between the 1995-96 Chicago Bulls and everybody else, right? Everybody else, no disrespect to them, but you get my point. They're building teams that compete, right? But they wasn't building a winning team. When Michael Jordan came on to the Bulls, he wanted a winning team, right? So much so that he was, I believe, working with the coaches and the recruiters and whatnot, um, getting Pippen on his team, getting Rodman, and understand that if you they didn't like Rodman, right? Jordan, Pippen, and whoever, they didn't like Rodman, but Rodman was useful, right? Rodman did his thing better than nobody else, right? And oftentimes we forget that sometimes you're gonna have to have somebody do business with somebody who you may not agree with, who you may not like, but they're good at what they do. Okay, build an effective winning team. Eventually, Anna series, you see it play out, especially about I think like the mid point to the end, towards the end, where she has an effective team. Okay, she has people walking with her throughout the building, people who can do architecture. I mean, and these were from the series. Well, look like they were people who were top in their industries, right? Well respected individuals, right? So even when people were finding out about what she was doing, they were finding out about who she was working with. And they're like, oh my god, like wow, she got so and so and so and so. Like, oh, that's like that's amazing. Like it validated her vision. It validated you know what she was trying to build. Okay, so build an effective winning team. Right? That's a powerful lesson that I think is underrated. She wasn't able to do all this stuff out of nowhere. She had an effective winning team. Okay, if you want to win in a game of business, you need to build a winning team. You can't do it by yourself. That's nonsense. Okay, you can't just hire anybody. You can't just bring on anybody. Build people who can make things happen. People who don't make excuses. They find a way to get it done. Right? Find those people. So, you know, again, build an effective winning team. You want things to happen in your favor? Build a team. Build the right team. Find people who you need. Right? Maybe that person's not in your state. That's fine. That's the purpose of social media, LinkedIn, you know, Instagram or whatever. Network. Find them. So Anna did that right. She found a winning team. Lesson number 9. Your mistakes can damage your connection's reputation. Okay, so this lesson I feel like was good for business lessons because of one thing: reputation. Okay, reputation means a whole lot in the business world. Well, really anywhere, but especially the business world, right? You can lose money over your reputation. Allegations can ruin you before you even be convicted. You could be totally innocent, but just by assuming or creating an allegation about you can cause a problem, right? And so in this series, in the Anna series, right? So there's a scene. I believe the lady, the I think her name was like Tabitha, Tatia, something like that, and you know, she was like built. She had this global company that she ran, right? And she she met Anna at the art museum at this art gallery or whatever, and they had a few where you have to watch the series to know what I'm talking about. And basically, she ended up sort of befriending Anna, right? She admired Anna's boldness to speak her mind and so forth and so forth. And so there's a scene where I think her name is Tati. They're on this yacht of a friend or associate, right? I think he's like a billionaire or something like that. Or anyway, he's extremely wealthy, right? And so they, Anna and Todd make their way over to the yacht, flying over there and whatnot. They get on the yacht, they meet the billionaire, and they do the whole pitch thing. Tati was not happy about that, right? Because it was a vacation, right? Now, I can understand both ends, right? On one hand, she wanted to vacate, right? She wanted to enjoy the yacht, enjoy being out on the sea and on the ocean and whatnot. And Anna and Todd was there to really get an investor. So I respect both angles, right? Now here's the problem. So after they got the boat, somehow Anna and Todd went back on the yacht. Now understand that that yacht was not theirs, not Tati's either, right? It was the billionaire. Okay. Now the scene that really solidifies this lesson is Anna was sitting at home. They were sitting on the yacht, right? And so he calls them, like, "Where are you?" And so Anna and Ty was like, "Hey, we're on the yacht. Like, what's up?" And so just like she's ticked, like, "Hey, what are you doing on the yacht? Like, get off the yacht." And it's like you are a guest of a guest, right? Like, I can only imagine how embarrassing it must have been that this rich person, who you're connected with, is looking at you like, why are your friends stealing time from me, right? Because they weren't paying for the yacht, they weren't paying for the captain or any of it, right? They were just on there just racking up, bills and whatnot. And I say that to say, this lesson is very important. Okay, be mindful of your choices. Be mindful of your decisions, right? Because the people connected to you are affected, whether you like it or not. Okay. Anytime there's an allegation, everybody questions the people around you just as much as they question you. Okay. So if you're going to be network and befriend people, you need to be more aware that they put their reputation at stake by befriending you, by being connected to you. Okay. So that's why some circles are really hard to get into, right? And I can understand it, right? Reputation matters, you know, um, the identity of the group matters, and so forth and so forth. Okay, so don't sit there and think that when you start accumulating connections or whatnot, that you can just still do whatever you want, right? These people, especially the ones who have a higher, who have reputations that are popular, right? They're kind of famous or whatever, or really well known in the industry, right? They don't want to be associated to anything negative. Okay, go through there a lot, right? You have a hard time networking with certain individuals, have a hard time connecting with certain social circles, and what is going through happens more than you probably think, right? People, they vouch for you, and then you do something stupid like stealing money, or embezzling, or whatever the case may be, wherever it is, right? Lesson The lesson is, you know, be mindful of your decision and your choices and your actions. Okay, they affect those around you just as much as yourself. Lesson number 10: almost doesn't count. In the series, as Anna's situation gets worse, right? She tries to go to establishments. She tries to go to hotels. And one thing I noticed was she started saying, don't you know who I am, right? So here's the thing. Almost doesn't count, okay? A lot of people are going to believe that them almost making it has some level of validation, right? Like, oh well, I almost made it, so I'm successful, I'm somebody or whatever. It's like, no. And the reality of the situation in a series of Anna is that she begins to see that almost doesn't count. Even to the end, when her lawyer was fighting for her, right? And he started painting this picture like she never came close to ripping off the banks or counting the banks, right? Now he did that for strategic reasons, right? It was a play that he was trying to remove her from any possible sentences that ties her to counting. Okay, now she didn't care about the sentence. She cared about everybody knowing that she was close, right? And while the people who are close to you may care, the reality is almost doesn't count. Stop holding on to a bunch of almost. Like, I almost made it 5 years ago. I almost made it 2 years ago. Like, I'm Mr. Know-it-all, whatever. It's like, no, you're not, right? Okay. The fact is, nobody cares about almost. Okay, look at sports, right? Nobody cares about a team almost winning the Super Bowl. Inventing Anna definitely displays that portion of her life where she's holding on to used to be famous, used to be, popular, used to be the person to know, used to be the person who had the greatest vision in New York, used to, right? A bunch of almost. And doesn't count. So, you know, it's a hard journey, but just know, those of you who are struggling to get there, as I respect that, salute that, but at the end of the day, it don't count. So the series did a really good job at showcasing that portion, right? That she was dealing with, she was struggling with not making it, to the point where, well, I didn't make it, but at least I almost made it, so that's better than nothing. It's like, well, yeah, to you, right, and maybe to your closest friends and relatives, but in reality, nobody cares about almost.